What is up? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. Thanks for watching. And if you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Today, as you probably guessed from the title of this video, we're going to be doing some free interior design advice for you guys, for my subscribers. I'm kind of surprised that people sent stuff through, but I actually got a bunch of emails and imagery from people's houses that wanted design advice, and I'm really happy to help there. So as I was going through the content, I was kind of thinking I'm going to do like 5 spaces per video, but the more I kind of dug through, the more I realized that's not really realistic, especially because I've got other projects and things going on, and this actually takes a shitload of time because you have to really consider the spatial planning of the space, the requirements that each person kind of needs, and drawing up the plans as well. So I've decided I'm just going to keep this as a mini series and do like 1, maximum 2 per video, just so that I can actually give some valuable advice and not just be, you know, giving you just like light touches on what you could do. I actually want to get into it and really tell you how you can maximize the space and get the most out of it so that you're getting some value from me. If you like my videos and the content I've been posting, feel free to subscribe, like this video, and you can also sign up for notifications because I upload new content every week. At the moment I'm uploading like a few videos a week, which is a lot, but I also have some time to be doing that. If you watched my latest video, the life updates, sorry, that was my dog. If you watched my latest video, the life updates video, I talk about just some changes that have been happening in my personal life, just with my job and things, and kind of what that means going forward and what you're going to get from this channel and this kind of projects that I'm working on. So if you're interested in that at all, feel free to go and watch that, and then maybe that will give you a little bit more context about, yeah, things going forward. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. We're going to be looking at Rainie's home, and she has just moved to LA from New York, which it's kind of crazy that like you guys are watching from the other side of the world. I don't know, I feel like in Australia we're just like on this island, and I forget that there's people watching from all over the world. So thanks for tuning in. So Rainie has just moved from New York to LA, as I said, and they are renting, I'm not sure if it's an apartment or a house, but she said everything's kind of coming together, but she needs help with her living room. So as you can see, the living room has this pretty awful flooring. I'm just gonna be brutal and just be honest, because I want to be real with you guys, and when I don't like something, I don't really want to sugarcoat it because it's not actually my style. Like, I can be pretty cutthroat, but at the same time, I'm gonna do like 2 negatives and a positive. I'm gonna help you get the most out of the space. So we've got a popcorn ceiling, again, not ideal, but it doesn't matter, okay? It's not gonna impact the space too much. And we've also got these short ass curtains, which I don't know what's going on here and why people do shit like this, but we're gonna swap them out. Now, as I said, she's renting with her family, so she can't actually paint or do anything structural to the space, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Like, that's just the life of a renter, I get it. So looking at the space at the moment, we can see there's a bit of an awkward layout. So you've got like the entry into the living room, you've got sort of a centered opening that leads into the kitchen, and then up on the left, this like opening that's been squished up into the corner that leads onto the hallway. So it's a little bit disjointed, but it's not the worst layout I've ever seen. Let's talk about the brief and what she wants me to help her with. So she says here she's got 2 kids and her husband who have just moved into the space. They want it to be like a cozy space where they can have movie nights and spend time as a family, but also want to be able to entertain and have friends over and kind of get the most out of the space as sort of like a dining living area, which I get. She said she wants to be able to do craft projects with the kids, that her husband is 6'5" and wants to be able to stretch out on the couch. So they're going to have a big sofa. I don't know if they've got any furniture yet. I think she said that they maybe don't have pieces and they're looking to get some stuff for the space. And then she said they've got a lot of books and records, which is really cool. And she wants to be able to have those on display and like some sort of shelving unit, I suppose, to store them. So that's really the brief, the main part of what she wants help with. And I think I can help. So let's get into the plans that I've drawn up. So I've spoken about this before, but when you're thinking about oh my gosh, my dogs. They're two here. One of them is farting. One of them is snoring. Whenever my mum goes out, they just like come in here and take over. Ottie! Sorry to scare you, but please stop. As I've spoken about in other videos, when you're thinking about spatial planning, it can be really useful to think of spaces in zones. Obviously, in this instance, we've got the living dining area in an open plan situation, which is okay. We can still make zones, and we can do that through the way we kind of think about the layout of the furniture, the use of rugs, the orientation of the furniture. So in this first example, what I've done is initially when you walk in right into the space. There's no sort of entryway, there's no sort of designated entry zone. So on the right hand side, I've put a little wall shelf where you can kind of put your keys, just like the things that you use on a daily basis. You might even think about having some wall hooks or like a little mirror or some artwork above that shelf, just to make it that designated zone. Like when you come in, you turn to the right, you put your things down, and that's that. And I think that's just a good way of starting that journey through the space. Then to the left, we've got a rug, we've got a 3-seater sofa, we've got an ottoman so that when they're all on the couch, her husband can stretch out. Not ideal, but we do have the TV under the window, but this is just one configuration that allowed me to fit everything else into the space. Again, we've still got the curtains or the blinds, whatever you decide to do, and we've got them full height. And I would think about maybe doing a block out blind so that if you are watching TV, maybe even during the day or at night, and you want to make it feel more cozy, you can pull that down, pull the curtains across, and that is ticking the cozy box. Then from the living room, I've shown some open shelving. So I think this could be a really cool like floor to ceiling shelving unit. You could have it closed at the bottom with some open shelves above, just to display the items that you want to display, and also have storage for like your kids' stuff, craft project stuff that you don't want on display, stuff that's going to make the space feel messy and just hoarderish. So probably closed shelving below and then open shelving above. I think I would avoid doing timber shelving in this instance because the floor is so intense, and because it's like two-tone, I think there's just a lot going on, you know? I would probably think about doing something a little bit more sleek, like metal shelving, powder coat shelving, open shelving so you can have your records and books on display, which is going to add color and character to the space. It's going to add layers, and then you could have like your knickknacks and things, and that's just like a really nice focal point in the room that when you walk in, your eye's kind of drawn to that. Then in the top left corner, I've shown a lamp, which I think, again, I don't know where the GPO outlets are in the space. So you can also get chargeable lamps and things, even floor lamps, and you could think about doing something like that. I think when you're renting, it can be so annoying when you have GPO outlets in really weird places, and then you've got to have cords running all the way around the room. It's a fucking mess. So you can definitely get like chargeable lamps and things. I consider maybe doing that unless there is a plug there, then you could have a really nice floor lamp. If not, you could have some lamps on the shelving, which would be really nice at night just to create a really atmospheric mood. And then we move into the dining area, which I think it made sense to have the dining table here just because it's obviously close to the kitchen. It's probably one of the more functional areas that you're gonna need access to. I've shown a 6-seater dining table, which was tight, but it does work. I've shown a 6-seater here that is an extension table or like a fold down table, which is what those lines are representing. So one of the notes I guess she sent me was that she wants to be able to entertain and have at least a 6-seater dining table. In this instance, you could probably have it as 7, 8 if you move the table out, but it would be a squeeze. You'd block the circulation around the table. And then when they're using it on the day-to-day basis, like when there's just the 4 of them using it, you can fold it down so that it is a smaller table and it gives you more space around for circulation and things. Again, if she wants to use it for craft projects and things with the kids, she can open it up. But that's, you know, I think for this space, the whole focus is on having like modular systems of things that you can move around, things that are sort of interchangeable, and you can change the scale of them so that you're maximizing the space and being able to have sort of like multi-functional use within the one zone. I think it'd be really nice to have like a big artwork at the end of the table just to sort of ground that space. Again, another way of sort of designating those spaces. I'm really not a fan of rugs under dining tables unless you're super clean. I just think, especially with kids, all I can think of is like food and mushy banana being shoved into the rug, and it's just fucked because once it's in there and you can't get it out. So I'm gonna say avoid doing a rug under the dining table in this instance, and just make your life easier so that when food goes on the floor, you can just clean it up, vacuum it up, sweep it up, and not have to like be on your hands and knees trying to get shit out of a rug. Like, I've experienced it with dogs, and I'm not comparing kids to dogs, but like, you know, they're messy. So, and then I think what could be really good is on the back wall at the bottom half near the hallway doorway, the hallway opening, is you could have a floor length mirror. Again, this is a really good way if you have a small space to make it feel bigger. Not only is it going to send more light through the room because it's facing the window, but also just having the reflection of like the outside. Let's say you have some trees outside your window. Reflecting that is going to make the space feel so much bigger, and it will make a really big difference. And it's also just a good way to make the space more interesting. It's not as flat. It's giving you a bit more dimension because it's not just like a flat wall. It gives the illusion of depth, if that makes sense. So I think that could be a really good option here. In terms of art, I get that art is expensive. I've spoken about this before, but I think it's a really good opportunity here to put your kids' art on the wall, have it framed, pick some pieces that you really like, and it just makes sense for the season of life, you know, that Rainie's in. She's got 2 young children. She can lean into that for the space and just enjoy it for what it is. And then I think as well, paintings and things are very expensive, and not everyone has disposable income to be buying that sort of stuff. So I think you could even lean into putting some really nice black and white photographs on the wall, or family photos if you have those, vintage photos of like family members, or even go out and specifically take some photos of things like subject matter that you're really interested in and you think could add something interesting to the space. Then you could get them printed professionally, and you could either frame them yourself or get them framed, but I know framing is really expensive. You can play around with the matting, the types of frames that you're using. But that is just a more cost-effective way to add art into your space. And I think people forget that photography is a really beautiful medium that can add so much interest to the space. And again, photography, let's say you get it printed on a glossy paper and it's behind a glass sort of like frame, that again is going to create dimension. When the light hits it, it's going to create movement in the space. So that's what I would suggest. I've also done an option of the same layout, but with a round table. Again, this does free up a bit of circulation around the space, but I think it's not as flexible as the kind of fold down one. I know you can get fold down circular tables where like one half folds down and you can push it up against the wall. Totally up to you, but I don't love the look of a dining table pushed up against the wall like that. I think preference wise, I would go with the rectangular option. But I do like the look of the circular one, so I think either could work. It's just it might be a bit of a squeeze with 6 people, trying to fit 6 people around that. And then obviously in the living room, in the first option, there's no armchair, which is not great, but we are working in a smaller space. But I've done a second option where we've flipped the sofa to be on that southern wall. We've still got the TV in the same position, but it's on a smaller sort of credenza unit. And then we've got an armchair that's opposite the sofa so that it creates this kind of conversational junction, I guess. And then again, just some little side tables and things that can be moved around. You could swap out the side tables for a small kind of oblong, irregular shaped coffee table, but I think it would just be too much in the space. And again, her husband wants to be able to stretch out, so I think we'll leave the ottoman for now. She does have a heating unit or some sort of unit under the window, which is fugly. But again, the curtains are going to cover it up. So that TV unit might need to come in a bit, might encroach on the space, might be a little bit difficult in terms of whoever's sitting on that end area to see the TV. But you could always pull the credenza out when you're using it just to watch the TV, like if you're having a family movie night or something. But this is a secondary option. I think it still works. I think it does open up that space a little bit more. It gives you the option to have an armchair. And again, if the kids wanted to play, if they wanted to use the floor space, you could move that armchair out of the way and that just frees up a little bit more room for them. I think this room because it is small, it's going to feel cozy anyway, but I would lean into probably the lighter tones of the flooring. I think that just makes sense. I don't really like the darker tone for this scenario. Obviously, I think with your sofa, I would have definitely a really kind of dark tone sofa, something that's just chunky and functional and comfortable. We're not going for like super aesthetic here. You can still find really nice couches that are comfortable and just look good. Like, I just think no bells and whistles is ideal, especially with kids. Again, mess. You could go with a dark or a light rug, I think. I think you could just do something really textural, something with a pattern on it. Again, something with a pattern is going to help with dirt and not showing a lot of stuff coming through. So you could do a mid-tone rug. Again, something with a print, something with a texture. And then just having some cute side tables around. You can, do different materials. You could have like a stone side table. You could definitely have timber, a colored side table. I think anything would be really nice, and just adding color and texture to the space is going to make a really big difference. Again, with the dining table, it really depends on what you can find in terms of the extension dining tables. But I think just like a classic rectangular solid wood kind of dining table would be really lovely. And I would avoid getting any dining chairs that have arms, because obviously when you include arms on an armchair, like dining chair, it takes up a lot of space and you can't always push them under the table. And again, that's going to be eating into the space. I would consider doing something without arms, depending on what you can find. But yeah, I think something without arms in a smaller space is always a really good way to save space. With lighting, I think you could get really creative with it. I think, I don't know where the GPO outlets are, like the plugs for the lights. And I think the thing with renting is you're very limited, and obviously they always put the GPOs in the worst place possible because, like, who gives a shit, right? But it's actually so annoying, especially when you just want to plug a lamp in and you've got to have a cord running all the way around the room. It's not ideal. So you can consider getting some like rechargeable lighting, which you can get floor lamps that are rechargeable. But otherwise, I would definitely include some nice sort of lamps on, Yeah, I definitely think you could include some nice little sort of table lamps on the shelving dotted around. You could have a cute table lamp on your dining table in the living area. And as I said, they can be rechargeable, and that in itself creates a really nice atmosphere at night. I don't know where the overhead light is in here. I couldn't actually see in the photos. So if you don't have any overhead lighting in there, which is kind of weird, but it's okay, I would really lean into the lamps and just making that space feel cozy. Have I covered everything? I think so. That's really all I have to say about that space. I think definitely there's a lot you could do with it, even though it's small, and it's about working with what we've got. Sometimes the limitations help us come up with better designs rather than just, having a freeform space where you can just do anything. Yeah, I think the takeaway from this is that if you do have a small space, think about using modular pieces, modular furniture items, things that are interchangeable, things that you can move around, things that have cross functionality. So, like even if it's a footstool that can be also used as a chair, a side table that can also be used as a stool, a dining table that can flip down, that can be moved around, like open shelving that you can interchange the actual shelving, what is it called? The shelf. And that's just going to give you a bit more flexibility, because I think when you're renting, you don't have the freedom of flexibility to do a lot to a space, and you want to create that for yourself. So I just think definitely something to consider in small spaces when you're renting, but in general, when it comes to design, I think multifunctionality of a space is just a really positive thing. It's good. Rainy, I hope that's been helpful and has offered you some insight into what I think you could do in the space. I hope that you guys love the new space that you're moving into, and LA. I've never been to LA, but I would love to go. I've also never been to New York, but I would also love to go there as well, just to I don't know, it sounds so cool. What else? So if anyone else wants some free interior design advice, or if you found this helpful, feel free to send me a couple of landscape images to my email, which I'll put down in the description box below. You can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Pinterest, you can follow me on TikTok, even though I don't post anything on TikTok. I'm still learning to master YouTube and Instagram, which I'm so behind the 8 ball. I just am learning to post content regularly, so give me time. I will get on TikTok at some point. What else? What have I got this week coming up? I think I'm gonna have a March outfit video coming out this week, possibly. And then obviously every Sunday I've got my interiors videos, but let me know if there's anything you want to see, anything you can give me feedback on. A few people have been giving me feedback about my mic and needing to clip it on, so you're welcome, I'm finally doing that. But that's really all I have to say for this video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.